All right, it is 6:02, and this is the March 19th edition of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We will convene into committee work session, and it is 6:03.
Okay, so this evening it's a little bit different. We will be out here conducting a work session. So we have two items on tonight's agenda. The first item being a PD for a 16.7 acre piece of property located at the southeast corner of Dividend Drive and East Beltline Road. So I think maybe over the years you've probably seen different things come for this piece of property. I think originally this was part, not necessarily this piece, but this with in addition to another parcel where the Quick Trip currently is, came through. So in terms of the Quick Trip was built, nothing else within that PD was constructed. A little bit later on, we had different iterations of things happening on the piece of property. One other thing was, I believe, some retail, multifamily that was withdrawn or denied. So several different iterations of things happened on this property that were either withdrawn or denied. There's a piece down at the southern end that is not part of the 16.7 acres, but that was approved for Spring Hill Suites, which is currently under construction. So this is kind of the remaining piece located on the east side of Beltline Road. So this does back up to City of Dallas, Cypress Waters. So what we're looking at here is a new concept plan for 4 office buildings within this piece of property. And there's also a detailed site plan for the northern 6 acres of this property. So what we're looking at is a 78,400 square foot office building, 2 stories, for a Dave & Buster's headquarters. So that is on the agenda this evening. The other companion item for that is a plat. So to essentially take that 16.7 acres and create 2 lots. One being the 6 acres for the Dave & Buster's 2-story office, and the remainder to be subdivided at a later date and time when development occurs. So those are the 2 items on the agenda. In terms of items that went to before City Council, we haven't had anything in terms of other items. The one item that we did have was carried over to the April 14th meeting, which was the screening wall request. So that was carried forward. Other than that, that is all the items on the agenda for this evening.
Out of curiosity, that site generated some excitement back when it came through as the hotel, multifamily, and office. I think there was a lawsuit involved. Does that clear all that out, this new application?
Right. So we're looking at this as a new application, new concept plan, and dealing specifically with this piece of property that's under one ownership. So
with regards to the previous PD, this is all brand new?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing rolls over from the previous?
Right.
Okay.
Well, the hotel has its own PD number and plans and is not part of this request.
Hey, Mary, what does it mean when we say the large outdoor open space is going to be programmed?
So it's not just going to be like a green field. It'll be, they're looking to have seating areas, probably some game facilities. When we talked to them, they were kind of designing it, whether they're going to have like some kind of shade structures out there, whether they do some kind of training with their employees out there as well. We talked about various different things. I'm not sure if they had it pinpointed or nailed down, But they were talking about, maybe having some barbecue grills out there. Just I think an area out there for their employees to go and enjoy, and programmed in terms of providing some type of amenities for them. But I'll let them explain that a little bit further in the meeting.
Is that the kind of white rectangle that's inside the L of the farther or the northernmost structure?
So behind the building, there's a large rectangular area.
Okay.
That's the piece.
Okay.
So this is actually, there's a little area up towards Beltline and Dividend. And so we're actually looking for some kind of focal point up in that area. So we've talked to them about providing maybe some kind of statue or something to go up in the corner there. I feel like we can probably talk about the whole case right now, and there won't be much to talk about during the meeting. Just to kind of talk a little bit more about it, it is on Beltline, which is a very heavily trafficked road, highly utilized road. So we did require a TIA, traffic impact analysis, which they did perform. And part of that, what resulted out of that was a deceleration lane. Mm-hmm. So it seems that deceleration lane will be required, and that'll be off the entrance on Beltline Road. So that'll alleviate some of the traffic turning into this development. It looks like it could probably be all built within the existing right-of-way, so it didn't impact the property that much. I'm not sure about that.
Beltline and Dividend? I believe that's city. Maybe it could be county, maybe.
It is cities.
It's city?
There you go.
The one going east Beltline is in Dallas.
And so with this property, there wasn't a lot of trees on the property, so there's not a lot of mitigation that'll happen. But with this development, we're going to have a lot more trees being planted on the property. I think there's about 91 trees. They're going to have 30% of the site being landscaped. So it should look very nice. So we'll have about a 40 to 50 foot landscape strip along Beltline Road. It'll have, there's a lot of utilities and easements along Beltline. So the area for trees itself is a little bit narrow. So they're doing kind of a curvilinear or meandering landscape area with different trees and bushes, and just to kind of make that whole area stand out. And that should be, the idea is that it'll happen on this property and then all the way down Beltline Road with future development.
Will the deceleration lane, those improvements be built as part of the reconstruction of Beltline when that all gets
So
done?
the deceleration lane itself, we're going to require to be built with this project.
Okay.
And then at some point in time, if we do, or when we do Beltline Road, if we have to tear it out, we'll reconstruct it. But there's no, I think, direct timeline for Beltline. So we are going to require that this be placed with this development. So we do have about 5 or 6 conditions for this development. I'll just kind of go over them real quick. So with the elevations, it's a tilt wall construction, painted, and they have a lot of glass on the facades. So currently our requirement is that if you're not supposed to have more than 50% glass. So they are requesting a on 3 of the facades, they have like 51, 53, and 59%. So they're asking for some relief. And so staff is in approval of that. Right now, they were only providing signage for a monument sign out front. They do plan on having some type of wall signage. We did talk to them about that. And so they are aware that any future signs will have to comply with city ordinances. The open space that they have in the back, like we said, it's supposed to be programmed, and so they are going to come back with a plan and provide staff a review of it and have staff approval of it. So that's what we're asking for as a PD condition. As well as the focal point statue up front. We're also asking that once they find a statue that they want to do, that it go through a staff review, staff approval, and it be in place before they get a CO for the building. And any future developments of the lots be required to have a detailed site plan. So that's pretty standard. I would think something that is would go with, in terms of how big the development is, something that would fall in line with that. Something that, if you guys wanted to have a look at it before, we could make that a condition. I think we're just looking for something that would make that corner stand out. And there's lots of statues up and down, I think, towards Cypress Waters that have, it's art. So something that would just be eye-catching. I don't know if we have a specific criteria.
Well, that's a great question, though, because it leaves it wide open, and we could have Tycho monolith, some big black thing, or who knows what we could get. But is there, within any of our regulations, any kind of review process?
Well, how do we know that we don't allow it?
Yeah.
Could it be a nude?
Oh.
Are we in Milan? Do you know what I mean?
Right. So, we put it this way, but if you wanted to have it come back or have it be approved by city council, we could amend that to say whatever you wanted to.
So Mary, I had the same question. Sorry, I didn't realize how loud this was.
Yeah.
But the same thing. When I was reading that, I assumed it was going to kind of match up with the development around there, like you'd mentioned Cypress Waters and what they have. When you talked about the statue, I assumed it was going to look like that.
Sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Sorry, like the yard art that they have, whatever you call it. The cows.
Right, like so, up the street they have, the cows in the wire framing. If you drive around Cypress Waters, they have just kind of like abstract pieces. So I don't think they would propose. I'm not sure what they're proposing. I'm not going to put words in their mouth.
Well, maybe the applicant has some information on that tonight. I see him smiling. I don't see him nodding, but okay. Yeah. But I did have a question, Mary.
Across the way in Point West.
Right, so in Point West, there's the same requirement that they have to provide a statue, and then it has to go through staff approval. So we were following the same type of piece of art.
And
Sculpture,
not to belabor the point, but there's height in
And if you want to
regulations
set
or-
some criteria,
Well, no, but I'm just wondering out loud. I mean, could it be 15 feet tall? Could it be on a pedestal that's 20 feet tall and then another 15 foot of artwork? Or
potentially yes.
I'm not opposed to artwork. I think it'd be great,
Yeah.
just so that there's some ability to review it.
You can have it.
Yeah.
I have a piece of art.
Yeah.
So now we know we're.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Objectionable.
Was it really? What was it? Oh. Okay. I did have a question, Mary, on the 59% glass. From staff's perspective, is that consistent with other buildings in the area that you felt comfortable that it would work?
Yes, and especially since it's on that one elevation, and just the buildings around it are similar in nature, so I don't think it would stick out.
Okay.
That's about it.
We have plenty of time. Do you want to hit item 9 on the agenda, the council actions from last night now?
I actually don't have anything from last night myself. I did not attend that.
I was there. I can
Oh,
give you the
there you go.
rundown.
Do we want to have commission update on council action?
It was
Typically,
just
we
relating
talk
to the mayoral declaration regarding the actions taken in response to the COVID-19 virus. That was the sole item on the agenda.
Okay.
And then there was a discussion following their action on that item about canceling the election and setting it in November. And Crystal described some of the challenges we'd face in running it in May, and they're going to vote on it at the next scheduled council meeting.
Okay.
Because the notice periods about polling place, like all the schools or all
Sure.
polling places, they're all closed,
Right, right.
so they wouldn't be.
So,
Got some people Skyping in, so that might be it. What's going on here? Yeah.
Cannot confirm or deny.
We did a dry run and it worked perfect, so.
Hey, if we don't have to listen to that for more than 30 minutes, I'm good.
Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
correct. So after this meeting, we will resume the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee, which will be continued from our last meeting
Okay.
in February.
I was visiting with Kumar before, and my thought was maybe if the commission's okay with it, maybe they really just kind of respond to the questions we had from our last meeting, unless you guys want to run through the entire thing.
Well, I want the mic.
Okay, Sue called it. Eddie's not the bad guy here. Yeah, so we'll just keep it to that and okay. Just what's that?
Like the response to the questions were substantive without,
Yeah, and then they can address it. I mean, there's a memo that kind of hits some of the highlights there, but we'll let staff address those.
Yep.
What, no pizza tonight?
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Hey, Freddie, I was going to say you might project better if you hold the microphone up like this. Then you can start doing that.
Don't drop it down.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, got 9 more minutes. Anything else, Mary?
Nope. If you want to take a little break before the meeting starts.
Why don't we do that?
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
All right. So we'll take a quick break at 6:21, then we'll reconvene into the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
He said he was coming. We had a confirmation from all 7, so.
That's what
Did he say? Oh.
I was going to miss the capital, but I don't have to miss.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know.
Okay, it is 6:30, and we are reconvening into the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for our March 19th meeting. I understand that we're having some technical difficulties, so our virtual meeting won't be working tonight, but this meeting will be recorded and will be available online at a later time. So we do have a citizen's appearance. There's a typical note that we read with those, and that's persons wishing to speak on any matter other than the items scheduled for public hearing on the agenda must sign the register and list their residence address. Such persons may be heard only at the citizen's appearance portion of the regular meeting or special meeting. Each speaker must state his name and address of residence. Presentations by individuals during the citizen's appearance are limited to 2 minutes each. An individual's speaker's time may be extended an additional 2 minutes with the approval of majority of the commission present. There will also be a cumulative limit of 20 minutes allotted for any regular or special Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Those persons who sign up to speak at the citizen's appearance shall be called upon in the order that they've signed the register. No personal attacks by any speaker shall be made against any member of the commission, individual, group, or corporation. All righty. So I'm calling this meeting to order. We did have our work session, which was item 2 on the agenda. Item 4 regarding general items. Okay. Item 5, call to order. We have all commission members present except for Commissioner Portman. I understand he's on the way, so maybe we'll see him soon. Item 6 on the agenda is the citizen's appearance. Is there anybody who'd like to speak at this appearance? I don't have the listing. Seeing none, we will close the citizen's appearance. Item 7 on the meeting or the agenda is the approval of our February minutes. Is there a discussion by the commission or a motion by the commission?
There appears to be a discrepancy between the items you're calling and what's on the screen.
This is whatever's in.
That's from the
Test.
Do you have an extra agenda? Anyone have an extra agenda?
Because that shows that the minutes will be item 5. I hate to be a stickler.
Hello.
All right. So that was citizens' appearance was item 2. All righty. So here we are, item 3 on the March 19th agenda, and that is February 20th meeting minutes. Any discussion by the commission, or is there a motion by the commission? I'm sorry? Okay. Item 5. Okay, so item 5. Approval of February 20th meeting minutes. Item 5 on tonight's agenda. Okay, any discussion by the commission or a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Commissioner Walker. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Guerra. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Blankenship, Guerra, Haasmauer, Robinson, Portman, all approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Does the screen change? Item 6. Lost Creek, right?
No.
What? I don't know. Man, this is old, too.
That's CIAC, that's...
Okay. Golly. Whew.
There we go.
I am healthy and feeling well tonight. So, all right. Got the right agenda now. This is item 6. This is a public hearing to consider approval of PD-301R-HC Beltline Properties, that being Dave and Buster's, a zoning change request from agriculture to plan development number 301R-Highway Commercial, to approve a conceptual site plan for 4 office buildings and a detailed site plan for an approximate 78,400 square foot office building on 16.72 acres of land located on the southeast corner of Dividend Drive at South Beltline Road, at the request of Beltline Properties Limited, being represented by WGI Inc. We have a staff report by Miss Mary Perone-Boswell. Mary?
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. This public hearing is regards to property located at the southeast corner of Beltline and Dividend Drive. It's 16.72 acres. It's one of the few properties located on the east side of Beltline Drive that is located in Coppell. The eastern perimeter is the city limit line between the city of Coppell and the city of Dallas. To the west, we have Caliber Home Loans office building and the new Point West development, which is under construction, which contains a variety of retail, restaurants, and hotels. So this request is to rezone the property from agriculture to PD 301R-HC for a conceptual site plan for 4 office buildings, and then a detailed site plan for one lot for a 78,400 square foot office building for the new Dave & Buster's facility. So the concept plan identifies 4 different office buildings, ranges from 19,000 to the 78,400 square foot buildings. So the smaller of the buildings will be located on the south portion of the tract, next to the Spring Hill Suites, which is currently under construction. And the largest of the buildings is on the north side, and that's the 78,400 square foot building. So outlined there in the blue. So there's also a plat on the agenda as a companion item. This will create 2 lots, essentially one lot for the Dave & Buster's site and a lot 2, which can be subdivided at a later date as development occurs. So with the concept plan, the idea is that the landscaping along Beltline Road follows what this plan for the detailed site plan will show, and that architecture for the site will be similar for future developments. So Dave & Buster's is planning to move their headquarter operations out of Dallas to Coppell. So what they're proposing is a 2-story building, which is outlined in yellow. So the building will serve to house their existing workforce as well as future growth. Part of the building will also serve as their test kitchen. There's a large outdoor space proposed behind the building. It's proposed to be, or planned to be programmed. Plans are in the works but have not been finalized. Initial thoughts that we were told was to provide a space for employees to sit, eat, take a break, as well as have games set up for recreation and even for training. So one of the PD conditions that we are going to require is that staff review and approve the programmed open space. We did require a TIA to be done for this site, which is a traffic impact analysis. Through that TIA, it was determined that a decel lane be constructed along Beltline Road. So one of the PD conditions that we are going to require is that the decel lane going into the main drive be constructed with this project. In terms of parking, they do exceed the amount of parking that would be required for this type of facility. Architecturally, this will be a painted tilt wall building, accented with running bond reveals. There's tall vertical windows to allow more light into the building and help frame the building on all facades. They have vertical spandrel glass accenting the entrance and corner of the building. The front facade will have a 2-tiered metal canopy feature with perforated panels and louvered metal sides with metal support columns. The canopy will provide both shade from the sunlight as well as architectural detail. So one of the PD conditions they are requesting is to allow for more than 50% glass on 3 of the elevations. As currently depicted, the north elevation has 51% glazing, 59 on the east, and 53 on the west. So the premise of the concept plan is that the remaining buildings share a consistent theme and style with this development. So here's just some renderings or perspective of what the building is proposed to look like. So in perspective 3, that's the open space or programmed area to the rear. Perspective 1 is the front, as well as 2, and 4 is another view from the back of the building.
Meaning
3 and 4. And the architect is here if you have questions as well. So in terms of signage, they are proposing one monument sign, 60 square feet, which does fall within our requirements. It's going to be non-illuminated. They did not provide a sign package for the rest of the building. However, they did show areas where they would like to put signage on the building, and they are aware that any signage would need to comply with city ordinance requirements. In terms of landscaping, so this property is designated as Freeway Special District on the future land use map. So the proposed multi-story office building is compatible with this Freeway Special District. In terms of the northeast corner of Beltline and Dividend, they're providing a focal point area. The landscape buffer along Beltline Road will be enhanced and will range between 40 to 50 feet in width, and the landscape buffer along Dividend Road is proposed to be 30 feet in width. So the concept plan here identifies that the landscaping will be extended down Beltline as future lots develop. Due to there's a lot of water lines, sanitary sewer lines, sidewalk, other utility easements along Beltline Road. So they have a lot of trees that are kind of pulled back towards the parking lot, and there's areas within that 50-foot where it's going to be more of a curvy, linear, landscape bedded areas. So this kind of gives you a better idea of what they're proposing. So you can see in the back there's the future programmed area. So that will add additional usable green space to the site. To the left, or to the top left there, you'll see the focal point area outlined in yellow. The building towards the center of the page is in yellow. So they have a lot of green space. They're going to be providing 91 trees on site and 31% landscaping of the overall 6 acres. So we did send out letters to property owners within 200 and 800 feet. We received no responses. So staff is recommending approval of PD 301R-HC subject to the following conditions. 1, there may be additional comments during the detail engineering review. 2, a plat will be required. 3, a deceleration lane be constructed on South Beltline Road with this project. And 4, approval of the following PD conditions: to allow more than 50% glass on 3 facades. B, all signage shall comply with city regulations. C, plans for the open space shall require staff approval. D, that the focal point statue shall require staff approval and be in place prior to the issuance of a CO for the building. And E, that a detailed site plan shall be required for the development of future lots. That is the end of my presentation, and the applicant and their architect are also here if you have any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. Questions of staff by the commission? Sue?
I just have a quick question regarding your PD condition A, to allow more than 50% glass on 3 facades.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better way that we could phrase that? Because if this gets approved and they come in and do 100% glass, is that our intent?
Oh, no. We can revise it to put the 51, 53, and 59% in there.
Okay.
Or as shown on their site plan. We can amend that.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, was there any discussion by the applicant about connectivity with the hotel site? Walkability, stuff like that? I mean, the way it's presented, it's like 3 individual buildings, 3 individual parking lots, auto-oriented, and I got to believe that there's going to be some folks that might be staying at the hotel, that might be at the office, but you got to drive around, but there's there's nothing that kind of joins the site together, not even an internal sidewalk. And so have there been any of those kind of discussions?
We did not have those types of discussions.
I remember in the previous case, that was kind of one of the biggest deals. True, I get it. Now we got different parcels. It's broken up. It's not one cohesive site, but it just kind of disappointing to see that I'm not even thinking about that, you know.
We can add a condition saying that, with development further down, that it tie in. I think let me see here. Because currently as it stands, it's, connectivity from this site to the southern lots is just through the front. They'll have a common drive aisle here.
Yeah.
Because these lots are not connected in the rear at all.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, in the back. I mean, just something in the front that kind of ties it all together. And if someone were staying at the hotel site, they could just walk to the office building. But, we'll ask the applicant that.
Is that in contrast or supplemental to the sidewalk on Beltline?
True.
Do you want
You're right.
one? Do you
There's
want
there.
one internal?
Well, it just seems so. The sites are so independent and geared for the auto, geared straight for the individual building, and end of story.
I just think if it's an office building, that it's not necessarily tied into the hotel.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's true. I get it.
So I think if anything, if they have access to cross the street, because that's where the retail is, that's where they're more likely to go than to the office buildings.
And the retail's across Beltline?
Right. So let me go back up here. So the site is up here. And so you have the Point West development over here. And here's where you have, the Dunkin' Donuts, you've got Panera, you've got a lot of different restaurants coming in this area. So with the hotel here, they're more apt to just cross this way than go up to the office.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
Beltline's
they'd
such a
walk all
friendly
that way.
corridor with all that traffic long term. I really don't see a whole lot of pets.
Be a nice winding sidewalk through
But there's commercial down south,
Over
yeah,
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Cypress Waters.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Mary, is that the only access to the development? Is there only one, even with the future development, is there only one access point off of Beltline?
So
there's
here's
two proposed,
right. So
or three
you've got
proposed?
this, and then this will pan out as it develops, right? So this one looks like it has a shared driveway for these two developments, and then you've got another access point here for these two, and then it looks like another driveway over here on Hackberry.
Mary, was there conversation about the appearance of the exterior being similar to Point West?
Being similar to Point West?
The exterior elevations and materials being similar to Point West?
We did talk to them about the exterior finish, and they preferred to go with a painted tilt wall building. You can ask them if they were, because the Point West has a little bit more, I think, some stone and some brick and some diverse materials. We can ask them if they are willing to do something more along those lines.
Doug, are you thinking continuity? Just some kind of tying the general corridor together, or?
It was just more of a curiosity question. Where we had the conversation about Point West, this does tie into Billingsley. Some of the development, 7-Eleven, it has that look like Point West. So I'm not opposed to it. I just wondered if there was, out of curiosity, if there was any conversation, or if that helped guide design. We can ask the architect.
Any other questions of staff by the commission? Okay. Is the applicant here to present the case?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you for having us here on a difficult time in our environmental state. My name is Grayson Hughes. I'm with WGI. We are the civil engineer on the project. Business address is 8144 Walnut Hill Lane, Suite 903 in Dallas. We did not bring a presentation. We trust Mary to present our case in its full glory. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think there was some about sidewalk connectivity. We did see that sidewalk along Beltline to be the main pedestrian thoroughfare. This office building for Dave & Buster's that we are presenting is a sole user at this point, so I don't know that there is going to be a lot of shared pedestrian activity for that use. However, I'm sure it's something that we'd be willing to consider if that be the desire of the commission to pass that through. Also, along the driveways, we did provide some conceptual driveway locations for some of those future uses. Those are all flexible in nature. The only two that I believe we have solidified are the two for the Dave & Buster's facility.
If you could pull up the site plan, Mary. I guess the full one. Yeah, there we go. So I see and I don't know, maybe the hotel doesn't want the opportunity, but I mean, if you're in the hotel, true, you have one shared access drive along with that Hackberry down the very start, and then you have internal circulation. But if you're staying in the hotel, you're virtually either walking all the way around to get to any of the buildings within the site. And I get it; these are individual parcels now; it's not one full site. But I'm just thinking of any way to cut down having to jump in the car to literally swing around a building or two for just general walkability of the area. And so that was just my comment there. And so I don't know. How do y'all feel about that?
No, I think that's a good point. I know that as a part of our site, we've dedicated, I believe it is a 20-foot sidewalk easement to allow for that pedestrian traffic along Beltline. That was mostly due to the fact that our deceleration lane was taking up a good bit of the right-of-way that remained on Beltline. So we did provide that sidewalk easement for that purpose. We'd be happy to add a sidewalk from the hotel through the offices. But like I said, that is a conceptual site plan at this point.
Yeah.
So really our detailed site plan is for the Dave & Buster's site, but
Yeah.
we'd be certainly happy to consider anything you guys want to consider.
Okay. Questions of the applicant?
I actually have, sorry.
I had the same concern as Chairman Haas had in regards to just the connectivity and walkability of the property. Because again, as you had mentioned, if I were one of the employees of Dave & Buster's, and now I Uber to the office building and I have my luggage and I'm going to stay nearby, it's typically you want to walk that. But like I said, right now, and I understand it's still conceptual, but the same thing is you have a lot of development on the south side, really on the west, but more enticing people to walk from those office spaces to that retail area across Beltline Road would be one of my concerns too, and seeing that in a more detailed way.
Okay. If I could offer a suggestion to perhaps widen the sidewalk along Beltline to a 10-foot sidewalk as opposed to a typical 4 or 5-foot sidewalk, that might provide a little bit more comfortability in that walking than it would on a more narrow pathway.
Sorry, I think that may work also, because like Chairman Haas had stated, it's just, I wouldn't want to walk, on a narrow sidewalk
Sure.
along Beltline Road. But yeah, I think things like that would be a good consideration.
Okay, certainly.
Do you have any kind of idea? Have you narrowed it down to 4 statues, 5 statues? Have you not even looked at it yet? Any concept at all what we could expect there?
I am not privy to those conversations, as I believe it is really up to the owner, the Dave & Buster's company, to decide what that is going to look like. I know our architectural partner is here that I think has provided them some contact information for some folks that were associated with the Cypress Waters artwork that's been around. So my understanding is that it would be relatively consistent with what's throughout the surrounding developments. But no decisions have been made at this time.
I had another question regarding the external features of the buildings, the facades, the exceeding the 50%. In the past, sure, we hear things on a case-by-case basis, but why is building 3, was it 59%?
I will let our architect answer that
Okay.
question.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean,
Hi, Mick Granlund with O'Brien Architects, 5310 Harvest Hill Road, Dallas, Texas. So more specifically, is your question why 59 versus less than 50, or 59 versus 51 or 2 like the other?
Yeah, why was this one more glass exterior?
I think it's just the way that it worked out, basically. So when we started the process with Dave & Buster's, we presented them with 3 different design options. And I'll try to answer 2 questions at one time here. One with respect to more brick and stone, like some of the other buildings in close proximity. Some of our designs had more of that on the building. After scrutinizing all the designs very carefully, actually, the chosen direction was not necessarily with any one of the designs, but sort of with a combination, and their preference was more glass versus other features like brick and stone. So that's how we eventually came to the design that has more than 50% glass on it. And the desire was to focus the attention on the main entry and that feature that faces a belt line that you're going to see most prominently. And that's where a lot of the glass is. And, you know, I don't know how, we never sat down and determined any percentages. We designed it so that we thought it looked the best. And then we calculated what the percentages were, and that's just where it came out.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the look of it, but, you know, just historically within our community, there's been the emphasis on, you know, not greater than 50%, and at least as long as there's some tie-in. I've heard from staff that there's some general continuity of the buildings in the corridor, and so to me it looks okay, but I don't know what other members of the commission might be thinking of that. So about that artwork.
Yeah.
What's the thought there?
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up. And every meeting we have with them, we try to twist their arm a little bit because we know it's coming. They know that they're going to have to work with the city and get approval with the city on whatever they do. It's just that this has all transpired fairly quickly. We've only been working on it for a couple of months, and right now their focus is on making sure the building on the site and, you know, what goes on the inside works. And so we haven't been able to twist their arm hard enough to get to the point where they're ready to really, to be honest with you, they haven't even started the process with the artwork yet. So with respect to the plaza in back, we have come up with a couple design opportunities for them. You can see on the lower left-hand corner, the big green space out there. We have presented them with a couple different options for that. They're evaluating that right now. We're hoping that by the time we come to City Council, we will have made a decision on that and we'll be able to present something. But for today, that's all I'm able to show you. So, but like Mary said, it is a space that they have in their current facility now. Their current facility has 2 buildings. One's the office building, and one is their sort of their distribution, I guess, or warehouse for storage of games and stuff like that. And in between them, they do have a big open space that's very similar in size to this, and it is very nicely landscaped. It has a sort of a pavilion out there where people can go and sit in the shade, and they do use it for gatherings, fairly large gatherings from time to time. So anyway, I think what we end up with you'll like, but I just don't have anything to show you today.
Okay. Any other questions by the commission?
I just had one. I guess in regards
Sure.
to the total number of employees.
I believe it's,
I think it's about 380.
yeah, between 300 and 400, yeah. And they chose Coppell because they did a survey of all their employees that are working in the office now, and a high percentage of them live out in this general area or come from this direction. So that's why they chose Coppell. So that, and just because it's a great city to live and work in. So
Well, they chose wisely.
we think so.
All right. Any other questions by the commission? Okay. Thank you much. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody who'd like to speak for or against the proposed application? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a discussion by the commission? I think I I'd like for there, in a recommendation, I'd like for there to be something with regards to better connectivity between the buildings. I heard the applicant talk about perhaps widening the Beltline sidewalk or doing something to promote better walkability between the sites. I think that would be good. I think it would be good that we tighten up the some language regarding the artwork. I like the idea of either council approval or through staff approval. I don't know that we have to go through the P&Z, but it would be nice to see it. And then, Sue, as you had mentioned about tightening some of the external glass, the percentages there, to tie it down to either a specific percentage or something on that item A, 4A. So those are just my thoughts.
I agree with the larger sidewalk. I think, walking on that narrow sidewalk on Beltline would be pretty scary. But it does look like if you wanted to walk to the hotel from that southernmost building, you just walk through the parking lot and you'd be right there. So
yeah, I would say that it doesn't have to even be on Beltline. If there's some better connections along the fronts of the buildings and just something that promotes, tying together, I'd be fine with that. It just, yeah. Anyway, that's just my thinking. So, any other discussion by the commission? Would there be a motion by the commission?
Yeah, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. So I'll make the I'll motion that we accept the staff conditions as presented, change item 4A to the specific glass percentages, and that we add a condition to widen sidewalks or the addition of sidewalks to promote better walkability between the sites and the hotel, future hotel. And we add another condition for a review process by staff and the city council, and perhaps the P&Z if desired. But I'll leave it to staff and the city council at a minimum. So that's a motion by Commissioner Haas. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Blankenship. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Blankenship, Guerra, Haasmauer, Robinson, Walker, all approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. All righty, item, make sure I got the right agenda here. That's advisory committee. All right, where did this thing go? Here we go. There we go. Okay. So this is item 7 on the agenda. This is to consider approval of Dave & Buster's addition, lots 1 and 2, Block A, minor plat being a final plat, creating 2 lots containing 16.72 acres of land located at the southeast corner of Dividend Drive and Beltline Road, at the request of Beltline Properties Limited, being represented by WGI Inc. We have a staff report by Ms. Mary Perone Boswell. Mary?
Good evening, Commissioners. This is the companion item to the case we just heard. This plat incorporates multiple unplatted parcels to create 2 lots. So Lot 1 is located towards the north here, and it shows the fire lanes outlined in blue. So this will be a 6-acre lot for the future Dave & Buster's location, whereas Lot 2 will be the remaining 10.72 acres, which can be subdivided at a future time as development occurs. So the plat addresses the easements, fire lanes required for the construction of the Dave & Buster's office building. It provides 2 entrances into the lot, one from Beltline Road and the other from Dividend Drive. So staff is recommending approval of Dave & Buster's additions, lots 1 and 2, Block A, minor plat, subject to the following conditions: that there will be additional comments during detailed engineering plan review, and 2, that tree mitigation fees shall be paid at the time of tree removal permit.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. Any questions of staff by the commission?
But in truth, there's not a whole lot of trees out there, right?
No, sir.
Any other questions of staff? Any discussion, final discussion, or is there a motion by the commission?
I would move that we accept the staff recommendation for approval of the Dave and Buster's addition, lots 1 and 2, Block A, minor plat, subject to the noted conditions 1 and 2.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Walker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Guerra. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Blankenship, Guerra, Hausmauer, Robinson, Walker, all approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Item I-8 is update on council action, and we had a general briefing at work session regarding the upcoming voting for council positions, so we'll bypass item 8. Item 9 is adjournment. If there's no other comments, it is 7:06, and I'll adjourn this meeting.